How's it going? It's Chris with Patch. I'm here with Commissioner Charlie Schilling. We're going over this week's agenda.
How are you doing, Chris?
Doing okay. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me here today. And the one thing that I want to say is I have a frame on my wall in my office, and it states, "If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under." And that's a quote by Ronald Reagan. And I think that's something that we need to keep in mind, and that's what I try to keep in mind in my daily business as a Washington County Commissioner.
I really like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I just noticed that when you pointed it out, but I really like that. Okay, so this weekend we're talking about the May 20th meeting of the Washington County Commissioners. So we had a number of routine items. This is pretty much business as usual, nothing too outstanding, but if you wouldn't mind just going over it for anybody who
I will.
make it.
Yeah, I can do that. It was a little different for me because I was running the meeting as the vice president.
Right.
Our president, Kevin Ritter, was not here yesterday, and so it was Commissioner Booth and myself running the meeting. And I think one of the things that you see when you come to those meetings, as a president or vice president that's running the meeting, you cannot make a motion. Okay, so every motion that was made to bring something to the floor was brought forth by the other commissioner, which was Commissioner Booth. So when it comes to and then of course the president or vice president or whoever's running the meeting then will second that and bring it to the floor, and then we'll have discussion. So that's one of those things. But as far as the agenda goes, we had one addition to the agenda. That's a Job and Family Services sub-grant. It's an agreement with Family and Children First. Again, it's just approving that grant.
Okay.
As far as the first thing that normally happens is to approve additions to the agenda. The second thing is to approve the agenda itself, and then you approve the previous meeting minutes. Okay, so when you approve the previous meeting minutes, normally we waive the reading unless someone in the audience or someone in the crowd wants us to read them. That can be done. But I have an email right now, and we're at what time is it? A little after 1 on Friday. I've got an email from our clerk, Ben, and it's showing the minutes. So I'll go over those minutes. I'll make sure that they are accurate, and beyond that, I think that's the way to go about it. So, and then we have the bills from the various departments. Everything that goes through the auditor's office. Okay, everything that goes through the treasurer's office, we see it. Okay, we see that. So it's one of those things when it comes to the bills, we look through them, each item. There's normally several dozen items as far as that, but nothing looked out of the ordinary. If something does look out of the ordinary, we will question it before, and then get clarification on it, whether it's something from the auditor's office or the sheriff's department, or it doesn't normally happen with the sheriff's office. I know that, and it doesn't normally happen with hardly any of our departments. But if we do have a question, being the fact that I've been in here for just less than 5 months, I just want some clarity sometimes. So
I hear you.
Then you look at a resolution to establish a new fund for the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah, could you talk to me about that a little bit? Because you see, American Rescue Plan, that's a federal thing. So if you could just tell me a little bit about that, because that's pretty interesting.
It is. It's just basically our auditor, Matthew Livingood, requesting to keep track of the money, and it'll be put in a separate account, separate line item, so we keep track of that money and how we spend it. We have to spend that money, or there are certain guidelines on how we have to spend that money. So the county's going to get just over $11.6 million, and it'll be put into that account. There's going to be certain things that we can spend it on, and that way we can keep track of it. As we have expenditures that come out of that account, then they'll be noted. So that's what that's for.
Okay, perfect. Now we have 4 additional appropriations: sewer, common pleas, juvenile center, sheriff. I'll put the details up that I get from Ben, but if you wouldn't mind just giving me a little overview of what we're talking about here.
The additional appropriation for the sewer is basically communications for the lift stations.
Okay.
It's just keeping track of the dollars. You're not keeping track of the dollars, but this is communications for the lift stations. As far as that goes.
The lift stations are where if you have to push effluent or sewage over a hill, you have to have a pump to shoot it up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just communications for them, and we have approved here early on. I think it was in January to put a SCADA system on 19 of our 21 lift stations.
Okay.
So, that's going to help moving forward when it comes to the flow going to the city of Belpre.
Okay.
And the affluent itself, keeping track of what, what is going and what's not going. The common pleas is unemployment. The common pleas is health insurance.
Okay.
The juvenile center is unemployment,
Okay.
and the sheriff's office is a new cruiser for the detective bureau.
Oh, new cruiser.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are monies that they have in their funds.
They just
So,
have to run it by you.
yeah, it just has to flow through our meeting. And I will say this, we do take, I do take all these things seriously, and I do look into them if I have a question. Like I said, I'm just been in here for just less than 5 months, but I don't think any of the other elected officials that I ask a question to, they have a problem with it. I feel like it's important for us to do our due diligence when it comes to what's coming through our meeting. And one of these days, there's a time when we'll understand this is a formality. There's no reason to question this, and you'll remember it. Of course, when things happen annually, you'll say, "Oh, I remember that from last year, a couple years ago." So. And then when you look at then and nows, there was 3 then and nows. Those are bills that are paid. Before they can go through the auditor's office with a PO or have to be paid. There was only 3 of them for a small amount. The auditor, then next on the agenda was the auditor's PILT distribution. That's a payment in lieu of taxes, and it's $31,303.15 from Wayne National Forest, but we only get a small percentage of that. The county only gets a small percentage, and it's in this paperwork. And if Chris wants to go through that, Chris, if you want to go through that afterwards, I can. But I don't know the exact percentage. But that's what that is. And then when you look at the CSEA, the Child Support Enforcement Agency, Kim Lowers does an excellent job for us. She couldn't be here yesterday, but she explained well what these were. A clear location agreement. It's just an annual agreement that they have to look at. It's one of those things where we're going to take her word for it after she explains what it is about, and then it's going to pass through the meeting and be approved. Then we go on to 4 items from JFS.
Right.
There's sub-grant agreements. One's with the Boys and Girls Club.
Real quick, what's a sub-grant agreement? Could you just clear that up? Because I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Yeah, well, it's a grant process for monies to flow through Job and Family Services to these entities.
Okay.
That's what it is. And so we always want to help out when we can when it comes to these 4 entities, which the first one is the Boys and Girls Club. The second one is Building Bridges to Careers. I know Building Bridges to Careers really works well within the schools here in our area. I know the Career Center, our 6 school districts, you hear a lot of good things about Building Bridges to Careers. The other is the Betsy Mills Club, and the other is Eli Chapman.
Okay.
Then we have a contract with Maximus. Again, this is a contract for cost allocation for the county. One of the people that looked through this and had experience with Maximus in the past was Kim Lowers from the Child Support Enforcement Agency, and she spoke highly of them. We done our due diligence to compare them to the company that we were using. The company that we were using, it slips my mind right now who that is, but we were able to negotiate and get a similar type of agreement with Maximus, and I think that'll provide better coverage when it comes to a cost allocation agreement for the county.
Right.
Then you look at the engineer bid specs for County Route 25 guardrail replacement.
That was the one where there was basically a book he submitted, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a book, and one of the things that we do on a daily basis really is work with Roger, right, our engineer, and Roger does a fine job at communicating with us. We joke a little bit when it comes to when Commissioner Booth and I took office in early January. We came in here on a Monday and met the staff and started working with them on some things, and the next day Roger contacted us and said, we need to meet. He said, I'll give you a day, but on day 2 we need to meet. So we met with Roger and went over a lot of things, and it was really helpful to me that he was open and basically relayed the information that I needed to know, working with him moving forward. And one of the things that I see, someone made the comment one time, and I've heard this before, that as a commissioner, you're the CEO of the county. I feel like that I'm one CEO of the county. I feel like that there is multiple elected officials, from the county standpoint. I believe there's 14 when it includes the 3 commissioners. And I think one of the things you look at, I would consider myself as a commissioner more of a CFO than a CEO. And I think that's important to understand because of the numbers that we look at on a weekly basis. We understand, just talking about the bills from various departments, the budgets, the different line items that we work with, the budgeting that comes with each department, as far as that goes. And I think that's important to understand. But as far as that goes, Chris, I think that's pretty much it. As far as the agenda, now we had some other meetings, and I think you wanted to discuss those a little bit.
Yeah, the business on Bartlett Street.
Basically, this was a public hearing to vacate Bartlett Street. It's a street out in the village of Bartlett in western Washington County. A couple of weeks ago, the commissioners went out for a public viewing, and so basically we were there with a couple of township trustees. This is a township road, basically is what this is, but it has to go through the commissioner's office to be vacated. We have to ultimately approve it. The township approves it, then we approve it, and I think in this case it totally makes sense that this street gets vacated. It becomes a drive for someone that owns the property right there, and it doesn't need to be a township road. The township trustees are in agreement. The homeowner, of course, is in agreement. The neighbors are in agreement. And I believe the commissioners showed yesterday that we're in agreement also.
Okay. So it's going to move to private ownership, is that correct?
Yes.
It's been approved?
It's been approved.
Okay, then. So we have Humane Society update.
That's something that we get every month. They come to us just general. In general, they show us the amount of dogs that are in care, the amount of cats that are in care, talk a little bit about what's going on. And I can't talk about it right now, but I think there might be some exciting things coming up for the Humane Society. So I think from that standpoint, I'm happy to say that they've got some. And I'll just say this: they've got some big plans, and I think if the commissioner's office can can support that in a way that makes sense, then I'm on board.
Cool.
So.
All right, United Church Homes, 11.
Actually, that got moved to 12:30. That shouldn't be there anyways.
Okay.
So, yeah, we didn't have a meeting then with United Church Homes. We ended up having lunch with them. That's the company that owns Glenwood.
Okay.
They just wanted to have a meeting with the commissioners and discuss a few things going on here in Washington County, and that's what that was about.
And county engineer looks like Dr. Roger here.
Yeah, and I will say this: I have it right here. But right here is Roger's annual report that he comes up with, and you can get a copy of this if you want from up at the engineer's office. I think it's good reading for you, Chris, to look at and to be able to relay some of this information that's in here.
How many pages is it?
It's only 8 pages.
I might publish it.
Yeah. I think it's important for you to publish this and to show everyone what's going on within the engineer's office. It explains basically what it costs to pave a road as compared to chip and seal.
Right.
We talked about that a little bit yesterday. There's several miles of roads in Washington County, and this right here, this document will give you all that information.
Perfect.
And I think it'd be good to publish. And I also think that it would be good for you to maybe go up there and interview the county engineer, Roger Wright.
That's definitely on my to-do list. Yeah,
So,
no, he's wicked thorough. I've been impressed by him every time I've seen him. He knows his stuff.
Well, and he's been a pleasure to work with. I'll say that. I think one of the things with Roger, I had to chuckle whenever we first started meeting back in early January. He said, I told the other commissioners, if you want me to get away from this Devola sewer project, I will. He said, and I told them the same thing. And I told him, I said, Roger, the last thing we want is for you to walk away from the Devola sewer project, because you understand what's happened in the past. You can help us moving forward. You can help us with things that can really be beneficial moving forward from a standpoint, not only with cost, but with what from that you've reached out to already to try to gain funding. We're still working on that. A few weeks back, we were awarded $1 million from the Army Corps,
right? And
I think there's going to be a lot of good news coming up too from that standpoint, and it's going to be ultimately good for the residents of Devola and the residents of Washington County.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Schilling.
You're welcome.